Dybala! He is something else. Di Lorenzo, and still Di Lorenzo! The captain brings the house down. Partenopea champions once again, but the 33-year wait will now officially come to an end.
Grazie, and welcome to another edition of Serie A Sit Down, World Football Index's podcast for your calcio to go. I'm Frank Crivello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are you?
We're dealing with some technical issues. We were scheduled to start at 9:15 East, and it's just my own life schedule. Son had a basketball game at a school that was about 40 minutes from our house, and just trying to white knuckle it back in time and get my notes ready and all of that other stuff. And so we decided to start a little late. And then Richard's having problems, and then just now as we're trying to do the minute countdown, I get booted. So I have to come back in. We may not finish this podcast tonight, guys. Just telling you right now. Just giving you fair warning. We may not get this thing done. So, but we're going to go down with the ship. How you been, man?
I've been good. Fired up. Obviously, the internet's a little fired up from what happened at Udine, I guess. So that's why we're having all issues this weekend. I know we're going to be fired up tonight. But no, I've been good overall. Can't complain. Good calcio. Weather's been good. We've had some snow over the weekend. And now it's just trying to get back into it. It's supposed to be 60s this week now. So it's just up and down. So, but otherwise, I'm good. I can't complain.
Yeah, all of the mountain of snow we got is just going to all melt around us over here over 2 or 3 days. That's going to be fun for everybody involved. Yes, Anthony, I didn't give the hamster enough cheese today, so I think that's what the problem is. So these things happen. These things definitely happen. So, a bit of an abbreviated match week 21 slate. So, we'll, thanks to the Supercopa, we'll talk about that. Won't spend a lot of time on it. And Inter fans, don't be like, oh, you're Milan fans, you don't want to talk about it. No, we just don't really pay a whole lot of attention to the Supercopa. Yeah. We recognize the winner, we congratulate them, we talk a little bit about the game, and then we get on with our lives. Unfortunately, some idiot behavior going on at the Dacia Arena on Saturday that we're going to have to address and have a conversation about. We will talk about all the games that did happen in match week 21. We do have to talk about Daniele De Rossi and his debut at Roma. Yeah. Milan fighting through all that crap to find a way to win. And Simon Zerkowski might have more goals than the rest of Empoli combined, and he's only played there for about 180 minutes maybe.
Yep.
So there's lots to talk about. We will run down as we're winding down. I believe we've got up until February 1st on the transfer front, so we've got another 9 days or so as that winds down. Some news going on there. We'll do the rundown through Nicolo Schira's. Or is it Shira? Is it Shira or Skira? I feel like SCH is SK sound. Shame on me. I'm Italian. I should know this. I've been pronouncing it as Skira, so if it's wrong, then tell me and correct me.
Go with your gut. Go
with my gut. Okay, and then we will finish it all off with the world's most popular hashtag game: Who won Calcio Twitter? So, Richard, we'll start with the Supercopa. Inter winning the Supercopa. The big events that happened here: the Giovanni Simeone red card. Which was a second yellow. First yellow was kind of idiotic on his part, which puts him at risk, obviously. He gets sent off, and then the winner from Lautaro Martinez very late in the game for Inter to win the Supercopa. I believe this is the 5th time that Simone Inzaghi has won this event. And this was the first time it was they did it as a 4-team elimination format, and it's always been just, traditional Scudetto winner versus Coppa Italia winner. But what was your thoughts on the game?
Well, first off, did anybody actually watch the game or the games? First of all, I know in Saudi Arabia, not many people watch the games, and I don't think many people anywhere else would. It just is. This is one of these tournaments that nobody likes. It was better to watch, worth watching when it was just a one game off. The league champion versus the cup champion. But we didn't get that this year. We got a new format, which they want to try out, make it a little different. They got some other teams involved, which, hey, it's cool. I get it. But I think overall, it was okay.
And they stuck with it for a few years, if I'm not mistaken.
It's all about the money. It's all about the money, right? So yeah, I get that. Game overall, it was okay. I mean, Inter were always going to win the game. They were on a mission from the beginning. You saw how they thrashed Lazio in the semifinals. They were always in it to win it. Napoli had no chance really. They've been struggling as of late, especially under Mazzarri, or even all season long, right? Even Rudy Garcia, but it just Inter had difficulties, right? It took them a while to finally get the goal, and of course, their best player Lautaro Martinez stepped up, gets the goal and gets the win. But I think overall, it's an okay performance. I don't necessarily think it's a great advertising for Serie A. Not that because Inter won, they're the best team in arguably Europe. But I just think these tournaments, especially when it's overseas like it is, I'm not a fan of it. And so yeah, what were your thoughts on the match and the whole tournament?
I just wasn't enthused. I mean, I'm all for what every other league seemingly around the world does. Play the champion against the cup winner as your curtain raiser for the season. Do it in August, okay?
Yeah.
No one gives a shit in January, and no one gives a shit in August. Just do it in August and get it out of the way, and don't have it be an interruption on the season. Because now you're throwing in these extra games, and you're making Inter play a couple more games now. You're making Napoli play a couple more games now. And mind you, these teams have Champions League.
And you're making Juventus feel like they're top of the league, even though they have a game in hand.
Right. So, so that's just my take on it. And some people will probably say, well, Milan wasn't in it. That's why you didn't like it. No, I don't see what this does for moving the needle, for making Serie A and Lega Calcio marketable. They're trying something that I just don't think works. Anthony makes an interesting point. Have the Supercopa in North America. Sure. Do it. I mean, you want to do a 4-team thing. Do it in August. Bring them over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Charlie Stolitano and Relevant Sports should be getting on this.
Yeah.
Okay. And say, hey, have this thing in August. Bring your 4 teams here. We can have it in, New York. And hell, New York, Boston, Toronto, they don't have to fly that far. Those are 3 metropolises of heavily populated by Italians, okay, that will come to the games. And then just do it that way. The fact checker's here, and but this time he's with us on this one. Ahmed, good to see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Super Cup competition should just be curtain raisers for the beginning of the season. That's the tradition. It's just the best way without creating fixture congestion for the players and the teams. At some point, you've got to weigh. Understand profitability is very, very important, but so is players' well-being too. So,
if you really want this, and I'm curious what your thoughts on this. If you really want this to be something, well, first of all, the Coppa Italia is nothing that does draws like other league cups, right? It needs to be elevated in the status of like, how good this trophy is, how beautiful. It's a beautiful trophy. We need to take it more seriously as a Italian league. Second, though, if you want to make the Supercopa a real thing that makes everyone really want it and make it get both teams at their best, do it at the very end. Yes, it's going to suck, right? But you do it at the end of the season, after the league's over, after Champions League over, after Coppa Italia is over. Then you do the Coppa Italia winner versus the league winner, assuming they're different winners, and have them go head-to-head. So that way both teams are in form. They're end of the season. Let them play. Winner gets another trophy or whatever. Yeah. Right now, it's just a friendly trophy. Those friendly Berlusconi trophies that we've seen over the years as Milan fans is like meaningless trophies just to stack the trophy case to say, hey, I have 90,000 trophies in my trophy case, which 85,000 were useless or whatever, So it's just one of those tournaments that I can't get behind at the moment, and it's gonna be wild. But yeah, we need the money, like Ahmed said. It's no doubt about it. We are not like the Premier League or the Premier League. So
yeah. But let's put the attention here on Simone Inzaghi, because he has won this competition, I believe, with both Lazio and Inter. He's won Coppa Italia with both Lazio and Inter. He's gotten Inter to the Champions League final. He took he can be credited with taking it when Lazio were in the Champions League under his watch. They were very below strength with a myriad of injuries, and did well to get them to qualify for the knockout rounds. They ended up going out to Bayern that year. Inzaghi has won 8 out of 9 cup finals in his career. One thing that's probably not being talked about in the world football conversation, in the European football conversation that probably should be, is recognizing and putting some respect to the name of Simone Inzaghi and his performances in cups. He is arguably, one of the best cup managers European and world football have seen in the last 25 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna. We've been saying this for a long time about Inzaghi. I'm gonna quote a dear friend of ours, Nima, who also, when he was at Lazio, being Inzaghi, not Nima, he would say Inzaghi is the next great Italian manager, and he even said it. Even tweeted the other day, the next great Italian manager. No, he is the current great Italian manager, and he is one of the great the great managerial minds. There was a great picture. Man, I want to say like 3 years ago, and it was a picture of Allegri, Zidane, Ancelotti, and maybe Pep or Mourinho. I forget what the 4 people were. Now you can throw Inzaghi's name in there. Yeah. He is. You can see how many cups has he won in the domestic league. He is a cup merchant. He's good in not only Coppa Italia tournaments. He's good in European formats, as we saw in Champions League going to the finals last year. He is the best current Italian manager in the world, and he knows how to get it into tournaments done. Some of these other managers have done in the past, and no discredit to Conte, because I think Conte is fantastic what he did with the Azzurri and with domestically. But Inzaghi is doing it on the tournaments. That's where you really get your bread and butter. That's why we hold Ancelotti so high, because he knows how to do it in the limelight when Champions League or when the lights are really on him, versus just doing it in the league, right? Everyone wants to go on about Sir Alex Ferguson, and no disrespect to him, I think he's one of the fantastic managers ever. But he got 21 league titles, whatever he has. But how many Champions Leagues does he have? Well, 1, right? And then you look at Ancelotti, has 5 Champions League titles. And so I think Inzaghi should be held in higher regard. He is absolutely one of the best managers currently in the world, not just in Italy. And he needs a lot more, more notoriety for sure. And I think the only way, unfortunately for him, is if he wins the Champions League. Getting to another final is not going to do it. It's going to be hard pressed unless it's that or go to like one of the big teams in the world and win something there. But we all understand him. We don't underrate him. We think he's a fantastic manager, the best, probably, arguably the best in the league, arguably the best in the world. And it's unfortunate that he doesn't get the recognition that he should.
You look at and then on top of it, you look at how he's managed this team this season.
It's amazing.
There's not a significant player that's gotten injured and has been out for a lengthy period of time. They've been able to play their regular. If there's anything that might come back to haunt them, might be the continued reliance on the same collection of guys. It'll be interesting to see what this team looks like in March and April, if they're struggling to get to the finish line, or if the fitness and the training is just so good that they can withstand it. So that's going to be interesting because when you look at, there's not an intense amount of rotation with Inter, that you would normally see. They've done it in some Coppa Italia games, and late on when they had already qualified for the next round of the Champions League. But that's it. It's not like he plays his best lineups possible every game in and game out in the league. Now coming to, now with the cup matches, when it's on the line and it matters, he's going to play his best possible teams there too. He's in that conversation. Ancelotti's in that, obviously in that conversation. I think, for as much as we can dog him and for what, he's become, Mourinho still has a hell of a legacy as a manager, sure. and in terms and in cup competitions too. Yeah. I think Chelsea fans will disagree because he never brought them the Champions League. Other managers did, Di Matteo and Tuchel did, but you have to, and then Guardiola, took him forever to get it over the line in Manchester City. Had arguably as good a team at Bayern Munich and couldn't get it done there. Obviously, his Barcelona teams were among the greatest of all time. So Inzaghi, I think, is getting to the point where he deserves to be in that name. And I think winning a Champions League, I'll say this, even though it's not a cup, winning a Scudetto, if he can get this over the line with, Juventus breathing down their neck, I think they deserve that. Yeah. So Inzaghi, at least with some of the Chelsea fans I talked to, is becoming the first name on the lips as a possible next manager. Yeah, okay, there you go. There you go. He's being watched then. That's an obviously positive thing.
Yeah. 100%.
So
100%.
Moving on from excellence to idiocy. So the Udinese-Milan game was interrupted for roughly 5 minutes or so as a result of what turned out to be racist chants from maybe more than one Udinese ultra in the direction of Mike Maignan. Maignan heard it, was shouting to his bench that it was going on, and then later went up to the referee and was explaining, after the Loftus-Cheek goal, was going up to the referee and was explaining that it was going on. The game was going on. Nothing was being done about it. So then on one of the next stoppages, Maignan just said, I'm walking off the pitch. I'm not playing. You scenes of him taking his gloves off, heading to the dressing room. Teo, trying to run him down, trying to find out what's going on. The Milan players were leaving with him in solidarity, which was a great sight to see. And I think the Udinese players, started to get in that direction too. And then the consensus came. I don't know exactly the words that were all exchanged between the players, but I would imagine the consensus was, look, don't let those guys get the better of you. Let's get back out here and play this game. And let's let authorities figure out who it is so that you'll never be at a football match again. It continues to be disgusting that we have to deal with these kind of things and that these things still turn up at football matches, especially on the peninsula.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of talking about it. It's a recurring thing, and I've lost all hope in the FIGC. So the one game, ban behind closed doors, whatever. I never expected anything better from them. My great disappointment is, and I think Magnon kind of touched upon it, was that the teams need to do better. Mm-hmm. Why is the racism handled so well, at least better than it is in England, or better than Italy? Because in England, the teams take it seriously and they ban people for life, multiple people. The owner for, I think it was the owner for Udinese, he's part of the problem because what was his comments? Oh, it was just like 2 or 3 people. It's like, no, fuck off. It was a group of people in the curva, not saying it was the whole curva, and it wasn't the whole crowd. It was not the whole crowd, but it was a group of people. Don't just say it's 2 or 3 people and try to downplay this thing. Udinese also, on their Twitter, instead of saying, oh, stoppage of play because of a racist incident, which would have been perfect what you would have said there, call it out to everybody. They said, oh, it's a stoppage of play. That's all it is for 5 minutes. That's all it said. It's like, Udinese are culpable of this. Every team in Serie A is culpable of this. There have been teams that have been on the forefront of it, but every team has these issues with their fans. And I'm getting tired of it, and you have to screw the league because the league's not going to do shit. They're a bunch of old boys who just don't know how to change. They're never going to get it unless you swap out the old and bring in some new bodies in there. But the teams have to do better. They have to start enforcing these things. As they do in England, you do multiple just take all the footage. There's so much camera footage these days. How can you not spot how can you not spot it? With all the phones, all the cameras in the stadium, can you not spot this out? And I'm also tired of these, these groups like, and I'm going to call it Inter in this one, but it's every team has this, where the Inter ultras are like, oh, you don't understand us. We're just, chastising the opponents. No, you're fucking being racist. That's what it is. So shut the fuck up. And I'm tired of this shit. And they need to ban all these motherfuckers. And that's always going to teach them. Ban them all in group forever and let them learn their lesson. Yeah, they'll probably find a way to sneak in, so be it. But you keep finding a way to ban them. This has worked very well in England. And I'm sure Apex and Uncle Sharma, if he was on, he would tell you as well. Italy has a long way to go, and it's the only way they can have any kind of movement on this needle is if they start doing that. The teams individually, screw the league. The league is lost. They're a joke. They're a joke. So I'm just pissed off with this whole thing. Honestly, I'm just tired of it. Not just fired up. I'm just fired up.
So I'm with you. The teams need to take responsibility and do something. So the punishment is that they identified one fan banned for life, and then they have asked Udinese their next home match they have to play it behind closed doors, no fans. Coming back to you don't understand us, this that sort of thing. I said, even if you're trying to be funny, or if you're trying to be humorous, if you're trying to have some kind of sarcasm, or if it's a slapstick thing that you're trying to attempt, okay, what you're basically doing is the equivalent of going to an airport, getting ready to board a flight, and getting ready to go through the TSA and telling a security guard that you're carrying an explosive. Okay, that's really what it is. You're gonna create it's gonna create an uproar. Okay. How do you feel about the punishment that's been meted out? I think the fan got what he deserved. But Udinese just having to do one game behind closed doors. What did you think of that?
It's hard because two things. One, you don't want to punish the team because the team didn't do anything. I mean, they should have done more. The team, not the players, but the team could have done more. But the players did nothing wrong, right? The players did nothing wrong, and to their credit, they did come off the pitch with Milan, eventually, and they kind of sat in solidarity with them. And two, you don't want to punish the fans necessarily because there were a lot of fans that didn't do anything there. They were just cheering their home team. So one game behind closed doors is fine. I think what a proper league should do is fine the club. Make it hurt there, because the club again needs to put more pressure and handle more of this stuff. Yes, they're gonna ultimately say no, it's the league that should be doing something, but no, it's like the team. You handle your resources. If you want a CYA, making sure that your product is the best that it can be. You go out and you find these culprits. I can't imagine it's only one person. It's got to be a group of people. You find all of them and you ban them. Set the tone. Every team needs to do this, not just Udinese. And Udinese is not at fault. I mean, they have some great fans, but it's what the league did. It is what it is. I don't know what more they could have done, again, because I don't want to be punishing people who don't deserve it, like the players and the fans. But the team needs to step up and do more. And ban the one person for life. That's the start. There's got to be a lot more. I would rather them say they banned 50 people or something like that, or 25 people, whatever the number was. I don't know what the number was, and ban those people for life. And it has to be consistent through every team, everywhere,
Sure.
in City. Yeah. So and Italy in general.
So you have a lot of my ideas here. I mean, the one game behind closed doors, okay, I think that fans will ultimately be able to live with it. I mean, I worry, no, I shouldn't say worry. The kid that's been an Udinese supporter, and that next home game was supposed to be the first game he was going to go to with his dad, and now can't go because of the behavior of some idiots.
Exactly.
It's like it's like the teacher making the whole class stay in from recess because one kid was an asshole. Okay, it's pretty much what this is.
Yeah.
So, I can accept it. I'm with you though that I think punishing the club in some fashion via a fine. And if you're supporting a club and you're passionate about a club, you don't want to see them get fined.
No.
Okay. Maybe set limits on transfers, dock points, something that is going to get the attention of the fans. I mean, if you want to support your team, in Udinese's case, if you don't want them to get relegated, then don't go engaging in racist behavior that will ultimately be reviewed and say, okay, the club is being docked 3 points because their fans can't stay under control.
And now the argument will always be, and it has been in the past when that's been brought up, is that the opposition fans were gonna dress up in uniform of the opposition and start doing the chants so that the other teams
slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope. And that's why I think a heavy fine to the team will force the team to say, you know what, we're going to be on the forefront of this and start banning people. That's the best way to do it because we don't want to get fined ourselves. And so it's a watchful process between the league and the teams. It's like I said, to me, from the outside, looking into the Premier League, this is one thing they do exceptional compared to Serie A. And I think we need to take note of that. I know a friend of ours, Bag Full of Toffee, talk about Everton doing the same thing and how Milan kind of supported them in 2019 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so England does this well. We need to improve in this. And like Vincent says, it's 2024. We shouldn't be having to talk about this, but we are.
Your lights went out.
Yeah, I know. It's just I'm setting the mood. I'm dark. I'm dark tonight, man.
Not sure about the choice of words considering the topic that we're on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, anyway, but then as we continue to have these incidents, there's a part of me that just believes that nobody's going to have the right answer for everybody. You're going to do something, but somebody is still not going to be satisfied.
Yep.
That's the other part of this. People need to be forced to learn why racism is bad in addition to a lifetime ban.
Yeah.
I'm old, just Mr. Mackey from South Park all of a sudden. Racism is bad. Okay.
So Apex says, look, in Premier League, they do everything so quickly that after the game, when the incident has occurred, they even send those people to jail for some time. Like, in Premier League, they act quickly. And Serie A is just like, we'll get to it eventually. We're in a siesta right now,
I mean, mandatory class sessions or some sort of sensitivity training.
Do you have faith in the country or the league that they would do that?
No, absolutely not.
It's a great idea, but I don't think that the league has the backbone, the spine to do something like that.
Right.
It's a great idea.
I agree. So I don't see. Well, it's a good idea. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
But I don't think at the same time, I don't think anyone is ever going to have the perfect answer for the problem.
No.
You're always going to have somebody try to do something, but I mean, will it be enough? Becomes the question. So,
yeah.
It's one that we're going to continue to fight. Unfortunately, I mean, the Udinese, there's a general manager, and I can't remember. Was it Balzaretti? Was that who it was? Was his name? Had a statement after the game, so at least, you got to give him some credit for trying to get in front of it.
But he's the one. I think he's the one who said it was 2 or 3 people, and I'm like, you have to be more choiceful in your words and what you say. What he said could have been better. What the club did, with social media could have been better.
That part, yeah.
But I do like that he went out and said something. That how long have we seen that in the past with with Cagliari incidents or whatever? In any incidents you want to talk about in the past, it just usually took a time for the club officially, notified or said something about it. So Udinese did try to do something on the positive about that, but it was not enough in my opinion.
Agreed. Well, until the next one comes up, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's shift the focus back to the shift the focus back to the Calcio, Richard, and tell us all what happened over match week 21.
I will do my best, Frank. I will do my best. All right, moving on. So we'll start it off. Let's just start off with that game. Udinese hosting Milan. Interesting game. Milan wins 3-2 in dramatic fashion, obviously. Ruben Loftus-Cheek continues his goal-scoring ways set up by Leao. Wonderful put away there with his right foot there. 1-0, and then minutes later, that's when the stoppages happened. Took about a 5-minute break. They came back from the break. Samardzic had a nice goal in the 42nd minute to make it 1-1. We go into the break by that scoreline. After the break, some horrid defending by Teo and Reinders led to Tovan getting his goal past Magnon in the 62nd minute. But Milan would start their comeback then. A goal through Luka Jovic, getting the goal off the goal line really from Giroud in the 83rd, and then Okafor coming off the bench in stoppage time to get in the winner. Milan win 3-2, deserved win, I think, in the grand scheme of things. If you're looking at it, Roma. Daniele De Rossi's debut as manager for Roma against Verona, a tough game, but they started out quite well. Wonderful counterattack. Stefan El Shaarawy just doing wonderful things on the counterattack. Feeds Lukaku, gets the goal. Goal of the week candidate for me. Just wonderful slick moves by El Shaarawy there to set up Lukaku. Then Pellegrini got a nice, great goal there in the 25th minute to make it 2-0. Consolation goal by Verona in the 76th minute, but all for naught. Daniele De Rossi gets his first win as Roma manager. Good to see that.
It was a nice goal by Valencia, by the way.
Yeah, it certainly was. Nice consolation goal. Moving on to Sunday, we had Frosinone hosting Cagliari, a relegation 6-pointer. One Frosinone didn't think they would be in the mix, but they certainly are. But goal scoring would start in by the visitors. Cagliari, Suleimani, nice goal. The 20-year-old gets a goal in the 26th minute. Looked like Cagliari were going to do what they've been doing, so far this season. However, Frosinone finally kicked it on. Mazzatelli got the goal in the 64th minute. Sule with a goal of the week candidate in the 75th. A wonderful free kick. Sensational. He's good. He's good at the set pieces. And then in stoppage time, Kyle George made it 3-1. Good win there by Frosinone. Moving on to a shock, I guess I wouldn't call it shock. Empoli wins 3-0 against Monza. Zurkowski gets a hat trick in this one. The goal in the 13th minute, goal of the week candidate. Goal in the 38th minute, a header, and then the 73rd minute uses his other foot instead. So he uses his left foot, right foot, and his head for all 3 goals. 3 goals in the 73-minute span. Monza, they're coming back to life really quickly, Frank. They've been stumbling over the last... It seems like they're on vacation mode. But a nice win, and Zurkowski, 4 goals in his first 2 games. He's on fire. See that new Lewandowski, the new Polish Lewandowski there? We'll find out. Moving on, Salernitana hosting Genoa. A game that had a lot of goals early on. Martegani with a goal of the week candidate there in the 2nd minute for Salernitana. Wonderful team goal by Salernitana, just passing all the way through. He gets a nice goal there. Retegui in the 13th minute, nice finish by him in the 13th to make it 1-1. Game would continue on by that scoreline into the second half. We would get a penalty. It was a handball by a Salernitana defender. I think it was an elbow. And then Goodmanson would step up and get the penalty. 2-1. Genoa win. Nice win for them on the road. More points for them to help them in their bid to stay up in Serie A. Moving on to Lecce hosting Juventus. This game always could have been tricky for Juventus, and it was for a good portion of the game. Game was very tight. Lecce made it difficult for Juventus, but eventually they would break through Vlahovic in the 59th and the 68th minute. Made it 2-0. Bremer would get a consolation goal or another goal in the 85th minute. Juve wins 3-0. Ultimately, they got the job done fairly comfortably against Lecce. And then I think that's all the games, right? There were some obviously Supercopa games and stuff like that, but it's an abbreviated weekend of sorts. And so, where do you want to start on this one?
We'll get to De Rossi's debut in a minute. I just wanted to look at Salernitana. In their last 5 games here in the league, out of a possible 15 points they have 4. They had the lead in all of them. So we kind of touched on this a little bit last week. This is a team that reasonably could be on 20, 21 points right now and sitting 14th. That's why I still think they have the ability to work their way out of this. But, man, the gap keeps getting bigger. Yeah. And that's got to be concerning, for people Inzaghi and his guys, that this continues to happen. So, at some point psychologically, you're going to wonder when that win comes that you're going to just be able to see out over 90 minutes. And that just, hasn't happened. That's something I'm just going to continue to keep an eye on. I think they've got the chops to get out of this thing. But they're going to be running out of games. They're going to be running out of opportunities. And then Frosinone, that's a big win for Di Francesco to keep his house there. Yeah. Over Cagliari. I should tell you, by the way, I finally got into the bet streets here in Serie A this season, and I had a 3-team parlay for goals. I had Roma over 1.5, Cagliari over 0.5, and Juventus over 0.5, which I think I was getting plus 158 for. So, which is basically bet 100 to win $158. Okay. I bet 50 to win 75, 76, 77, something like that. And then the other one was Roma to win and Juventus to win was plus 138 for some reason. And I was like, Lisi and I were messaging back and forth, and I'm like, this is a joke.
So you're telling me this episode of Serie A Sit Down is sponsored by Frank Ravello?
No. I you know, I got a nice little got a nice little pay over the weekend, and I might be taking a look at some. We might take a look at some props here. When we take a look at next, we might try to squeeze that in and just try to get a few ideas and see what might be jumping out. So anyway, no, it was good to get on the betting streets and just trying to, you know, and Lee's been doing really well at that stuff, by the way. So, but anyway, so you know, we talked about Salernitana, talked about Frosinone, De Rossi. I mean, I think Roma played more relieved. I think when you know, and you just kind of looked at it in their posture and their attitude and in their body language, they look like a different team. They didn't look like a team that was going to just go out and all of a sudden dominate people. They're still not without their flaws, but they looked that's the most comfortable I've seen Roma look in a month. And they're still right in the middle of this thing for top four. So it's not out of the question for them. So, you know, good start for De Rossi, gets it on the right foot, is playing but that's the other thing that you have to do. You've got to beat a Verona team that is really in flux and in transition. They're losing, you know, all of this mass exodus of guys who have been leaving in January. You know, they're starting to recruit some players that we don't know about. We're going to learn about. You know, whether they're good enough to help them stay up is going to be another story. But nonetheless, you take advantage of that situations, which they certainly did. And yeah, I mean, Pellegrini De Rossi did what Mourinho wouldn't do. De Rossi started Pellegrini and gave you that playmaking problem through the midfield that we talked about. Wasn't there against Milan and made Roma predictable. So now you get Pellegrini in the mix that can add some playmaking and creativity through the midfield. You're not just relying on the wing backs, and there's a little bit more variety to what they're doing. And they look, and like I said, they looked the most comfortable that they've looked in a month.
Yeah, and I think this is going to set up perfectly for De Rossi. I think that the time they made that move was perfect because obviously that game against Verona, then they got Salernitana and Cagliari coming up before they go to the big first challenge for De Rossi against Inter. That's everyone's big challenge this year. And so he's got a couple weeks or 3 weeks to build the confidence on this team, really trying to figure out what his team is under him. Obviously, we're going to see a more Pellegrini, which is what we need. Pellegrini is a fantastic player. He can only improve with more pitch time, obviously, and then under De Rossi, hopefully he can take not only the captaincy to the next level, but take this team to the next level. I would love to see, you know, in a month and a half time, with everybody healthy, what this team will look like. Are they going to continue to attack? Because I mean, I love seeing that counterattack with El Shaarawy and Lukaku going down there and getting that goal against Verona. That was fantastically done. Maybe we'll see more El Shaarawy get some time in this too as well, right? And then Paulo Dybala and some of these other playmakers on this team get involved in the attack. I think what we've been starving for, yes, this Roma team has been playing well under Mourinho, no doubt about it. But offensively, we haven't always seen the potential that was there. You know they have playmakers on their team. We haven't seen him with the reins unleashed, and we caught a glimpse of that against Verona. Let's see, he's got a couple more weeks now to kind of fine tune it and really get these guys all motivated. And then when we go against Inter, anything is possible, right? Inter could be on a bad day. That who knows? So let's see what happens. But I'm excited to see where De Rossi takes it. He's going to be your rah-rah coach, no doubt about it. We've already seen some of the glimpses of the speeches he's done with his club in the locker room. And he's always been that fiery leader. He always has been. That's part of his MO. How he develops as a tactician will be always, get my eye. And I mentioned this last week. Gattuso is very similar, in a similar vein. How they do, you can rah-rah all you want, but you have to get it right tactically. So far, so good for De Rossi, and I'm excited to see where this takes Roma.
I'm just not going to overreact because it was a weakened Hellas Verona team. Yeah. It looks like they're going to have a friendly with El Shabab tomorrow. Looks like.
Oh, must get money, huh?
Yeah, it could be. But then they go to a Salernitana team, and we're talking about Salernitana right now that are, they're competitive. They're just not closing things out. So we'll see how Roma.
Tricky match.
deals with that, and then they host Cagliari, then they host Inter before returning to the Europa League against Feyenoord. So, and then they're at Frosinone. So they're getting a pile of fixtures here that are winnable for them to help them accumulate some points and make them someone that a team that can be back in contention for top four. So we'll just have to see how they manage and navigate their way through those games.
Early overreaction. We are, a month or so away from Feyenoord. Under Mourinho, I think we both would have said, yeah, Roma are going to get past Feyenoord. I'm at least presently. I'm going to obviously change my, once we get closer to the game, I'll reevaluate this, obviously. But presently, I think, the Feyenoord is probably going to get through it in that leg at the moment.
I like Feyenoord there.
Because Mourinho is very good in European tournaments, and De Rossi's unproven. But we have time to go, and hey, this team could be on a roll here going into the Feyenoord match, and we could obviously think differently. But that's a month and a half out or whatever it is. It certainly looks like maybe their focus will have to go back to Serie A. But hey, I've been proven wrong many times before. So
the lineup that De Rossi puts out for that first leg in Rotterdam is going to be very telling of what their ambitions are in the Europa League. So.
And I think Apex hit the nail on the head, too. The concern certainly was the end of the game. It looked like Verona had a chance to come in where they looked so comfortable at the beginning, the 2-0 lead, and then all of a sudden, you let the team come back in and they started getting on momentum. Once the momentum swings in the game, it's hard to overcome it. And so they need, De Rossi and company need to do better handling that kind of adversity going down. They know they can play the defense because they've done it in the past, but he needs to figure out with his tactics how he wants to approach those games so that doesn't happen where you just lose complete control of the game and lose points where you should get 3 points. Yeah,
agreed. So we'll have to see. Resilience from Milan. I mean, we talked about the incident. Certainly a distraction. You're away. You're down 2-1, coming back, winning 3-2. This is what campaigns are built on.
Yep.
You got to be able finding a way to win games like this when it hasn't been your best. I mean, Pioli makes some good substitutions. He brings on Jovic scores. He brings on Okafor scores. This was another rough day for the Pioli out crowd because he had to navigate yet a trying situation as it was unfolding and everything was fluid. And then having to dial up the right substitutions to get it done. And, Milan fans, the entirety of them, not just the ones who have been loyal to Pioli and been loyal to the team, they need to just embrace the fact that this is a really good team, okay? That this is a really good team that had the misfortune of playing in an incredibly difficult Champions League group that any two teams could have gone through. That have the misfortune of playing in a Serie A where, while they're really good, they're one of the highest scoring teams in the league. There are two other teams the two other teams in front of them are playing absolutely lights out.
Yes,
these things happen, okay? And I just think that Milan fans just need to embrace that this is a good team. This is a team that's going to win games. They're going to solidify their place for the Champions League next year. And just enjoy the ride and see where it goes.
People need to get this thought in their head or the stat in their head. They are 11 points ahead of fourth place.
Yeah,
they are having a phenomenal season. Yes, so much adversity has gone this season, and yet they're still 11 points ahead of the fourth place position. Yeah. And now they're within 6 points of Inter and 7 of Juventus. Like, they are starting to creep up. Now, obviously, Juve and Inter are playing phenomenal. But if they were to slip up and Milan continue just being consistent, anything can happen. And what we're seeing now is that all these acquisitions that Milan made over the summer, that getting used to period is starting to get, team is starting to gel now. The only player that they bought that hasn't quite gotten to grips just yet in terms of like scoring and all that is Chukwueze, and he's over there in AFCON right now. Maybe he finds his form there, but everybody else pretty much is doing their job, and so these are clearly the three best teams in Serie A at the moment. Whether you like to say it or not, it's true. And all it takes is for Inter or Juve to slip up, that Milan's right back into this championship title hunt. I'm not going to say it just quite yet, just because Inter and Juve are on another level, but they're within distance. The facts say it. They're 6-7 points behind the top of the table. So, these are the three teams right here, and I think as we said, I don't know, a month ago, when the whole Pioli out clamor was going on, is that Milan is by far the third best team in the league. There's no one even close to them, and that's what it's showing out right now. It's just all three of them teams have been pulling away slowly from everyone else, and now it's going to be a dogfight for that last Champions League spot, and just basically all the European spots. So that's going to be the must-see TV for the rest of the season, I think.
Yeah, it's Matteo Gabbia since coming back has been outstanding, and has been helping fill a real position of need. So having him back in the fold. Chiar struggled in this game against Udinese, by the way. He was on skates on the Samardzic goal in particular. So that all still needs to get sorted out. But you see the midfielders playing well. You've got some guys that can play and make through there, especially Rangers, who I think continues to get better and better in the midfield. And you've got, Leao may not be statistically getting it done, but he's getting it done in terms of the build-up, in terms of the chance creation. Gets an assist this weekend. Giroud gets another assist this weekend. For all the Giroud haters out there, they had a rough day. I think there's just the fan base. I keep saying it. They need to just chill out, realize that this is a really good team, enjoy the ride. They host Bologna here coming up.
Who've been falling lately.
Who have been falling, yep, and who have been struggling, and I believe it's on Sunday. No, that's on Saturday. So that's on Saturday. They travel to Frosinone on February 3rd, and then they host Napoli on the 11th before they play Rennes, the first leg against Rennes. I seriously see 9 points.
Yep.
And I see that they continue to put pressure on the top two and distance themselves further away from 4th and 5th.
And guess what? February 2nd, Derby d'Italia. Something's going to give. There's points to be caught up with there. Whether it's Juve or Inter win that match, or it's a draw. And again, if Milan get their 9 points in these next few games, they're getting even closer to the top two, which is unreal. So here at Serie A Sit Down, we like to fact check. We also have Ahmed who helps with the fact checking. But we're going to take Ollie's word for this. He says that the summer acquisitions have accounted for 30 goals and assists so far this season. If that's actually the fact, the actual statistic, that is amazing for all the acquisitions that they had when everybody thought they're not going to do anything this year, and they're starting to show up, right? Ruben Loftus-Cheek has become a pivotal player. Reinders is a pivotal player, so they're getting their stuff together. So,
why am I missing that Inter game in my slate here? When did you say that was?
February 2nd, 2nd or 4th? 4th, February 4th.
I've got them going to. Why do I have it saying it's going to Frosinone on February 3rd on SofaScore's website? That's weird. Okay, so February 4th. It is. If it's February 4th, so be it. I'm not disputing it.
Yeah. It's on their on Lega Serie A's website. It's Inter Juve.
I'm showing
on the 4th.
April 20th they play Inter. Why is SofaScore screwed up?
Yeah, and that's where this change the schedule. I don't know, but Lega Serie A's website, February 4th, 2:45 p.m. Eastern time. It's Inter hosting Juventus. So
yeah,
maybe we do a watch along. We'll see. It's still a few weeks away, but
yeah. I'm just gonna look this up one more time. I'm just gonna try to look it up for the next one. Let me see here. Milan Inter next match. Inter are playing Juve on February 4th.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about Milan. Oh, where the hell is my head?
Are you drinking tonight?
I had a spotted cow. I had a spotted cow. Ahmed, where were you? Where were you on that one? I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm saying Milan Inter is that you said Derby. Okay, Derby d'Italia. I'm sitting here thinking Derby della Madonnina.
No. I'm not looking for I'm not looking forward to that one. Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh, where the hell's my head? Okay, so I'm sitting there like, well, where are you seeing Milan Inter? And they don't play each other till April 20th. And he said Derby d'Italia. I said for whatever reason I thought I heard you say Derby della Madonnina.
No, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Well, that's why we don't get paid.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So anyway, so then the Derby d'Italia coming back to that. Now that I can try to save some face, what goes on in that game is going to one of those teams either is going to fall, or if they share the points, that's 2 points Milan can pick up. Milan, the next derby for Milan, it is a home game against Inter, but they do have to go to the J. So that's that's going to be interesting in and of itself. Juventus is now scoring goals. Are you noticing this? I mean, it's just
Vlahovic too, mostly.
11 goals in the last 5 games. That's not Allegri-like.
Is he still there?
He's still there, yeah. Apparently, he's just decided, we should probably try to score some goals here. And then on top of that, Evan only conceding 12, just not letting anybody score. I mean, this Juventus team is just more and more dangerous with each week, and they continue to make their case that they could be the Scudetto winners this season and really overtake Inter.
We obviously got the Derby d'Italia, Juventus-Inter coming up.
Yes, February 4th. I'm ready now. I got it.
What do you think? I mean, obviously, Juve are doing it right now, where they're trying to figure out how to play solid defense and still score goals. They're going to need to beat this Inter team who can do both. Inter are fantastic scoring goals, and they can defend like nobody's business. Do you... and we're still ways away, and many things can happen in a couple weeks, but do you think Juventus has a good chance to beating Inter in that matchup? Not just going to draw or making it close. I'm talking about beating them, because I think, to win the Scudetto this year, they're going to have to beat Inter. A draw is not going to be good enough. I think both teams are too consistent, and it's those head-to-heads that they're going to have to get the win to get the Scudetto, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Couple things that stand out to me when that game comes up here soon. For starters, the game is the San Siro. Allegri's going to set up to let Inter have the ball, and for the longest time we've said, how do you make Inter uncomfortable? You give them the ball.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that you got to identify. And the other thing you got to identify is that when you give them the ball, you can counter them, and you can counter them through Vlahovic. You now have a kind of a dynamic take-on guy to partner with him up front in Yildiz. And when you don't have him, you have Chiesa. And then I think that now we have to recognize the emergence of Weston McKennie, not necessarily as a playmaker, but as that box-to-box bomber that can certainly be willing to join the attack and be the guy that trails all the forward runs and gets himself into good positions. Yeah. The way he plays in those, is it crazy to suggest that he's kind of like a Mkhitaryan 2.0 in those situations? He's not scoring as much as Mkhitaryan does in those counter-attacking moments. Or he's a Mkhitaryan with maybe a more complete midfield skill set, defending, ball winning, covering ground.
Mkhitaryan is so fluid on the ball. He is majestic.
That's the one
watch,
difference. Yeah, that's where he stands out. Yes.
McKennie, it's hard to compare who he's comparable to in the league. I mean, the first person that comes to mind for me is Leon Goretzka. Very similar box to box, likes to attack, has good defensive
I don't mind that.
abilities. Yeah. But if you look in the league, it's really hard to say who does he kind of line up with. In the past, you could probably say a Frank Kessie type, right? Because Frank Kessie was just a tank in that middle and would get up on the attack. But Frank didn't have the offensive capabilities that Weston McKennie does.
I would think Frank. I think Frank had more physicality.
Absolutely, he was a tank.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard to say who he's comparable to. Like I said, Leon Goretzka jumped to my mind immediately. Another guy I can kind of see, but he's miles better, is Koop Meiners. Koop Meiners can do that defensive work. He can be a box to box, but he is just so immensely talented. He can do it all. He's absolutely an advanced attacker. It's hard to pigeonhole Weston McKennie. He is a jack of all trades. I obviously follow him for a long time, so I know him very well. It's hard to say who he's comparable to in the league, honestly.
I can ask Apex, Michael, a new version of Michael Essien. I mean, I'm trying to figure out where the comparison is when you're looking at McKennie right now with him as a player. Apex, let me know what do you think? And I'm talking about Michael Essien at Chelsea, not Michael Essien at Milan. Michael Essien at Milan was a broken man.
Yeah.
All Oh my. So Simon Zerkowski just shows up and scores goals. I mean, I just
He's
wondering
back
if
home.
maybe
He's back home.
if he just decided to get out of Serie B hell, and now he's on loan at Empoli and trying to prove himself. But noteworthy, a hat trick for him after scoring a goal the week before. And Empoli has 14 goals in Serie A this season. Zerkowski scored 4 of them. He's only been there for 2 games. So
I know it's funny because like Zerkowski, when he was there previously, we when he's in Serie A previously, we thought of him as this kid who could become a potentially a really good player. He left. His team gets relegated, goes to Serie B, and don't hear from him again. But now he's back, and I don't know if he can get back to the potential we thought he had originally. But obviously, he's got 3 goals in him. It's obviously the new car smell. Just excited to be back, and he's just in the right place, right time. I don't expect him to keep this pace up, but sometimes players just need the right venue, the right change, and things will change. Just look at Weston McKennie, right? He was struggling for a while, especially at Leeds. He really wasn't doing much. Gets relegated, gets to come back to Juventus, and all of a sudden he's flourishing again. Rabiot looked like he was all but done for. A guy who had all this immense talent. And it feels like I'm just talking about Juventus here. But Rabiot comes back, and all of a sudden, just before the World Cup, he goes on a tear, and he's been on that tear ever since. He's become that quality player that we thought he was going to be when he was much younger. So, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Apex is with us here. Baby Essien for sure. Essien way more physical or technically, but all I had to do was just start naming every midfielder that ever played in world football, and I'd eventually get to one.
Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Zinedine Zidane. No.
See, so that's just it. So
at least you didn't say a young Jude Bellingham, right?
No. Maybe Jude Bellingham might be a young Weston McKennie. Just
there
better.
You go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. Oh, mercy. Goals of the week. Did you make a list? I kind of did. I just didn't rank them.
I did. Now I just got to find them. I was not prepared tonight, apparently. But here we go. My top 5. I didn't think I was getting the top 5, but I ended up getting. I got 4. I got 4. So, 4th for me is Sule's free kick. A very nice free kick there. Really well done by the youngster. Sticking with that matchup, number 4 for me, Torati's goal line save in stoppage time against Pavoletti. Next, a couple minutes later, they go and get the winner there. Number 2 for me, Zerkowski's first goal, the volley. That's a difficult volley to get. Ask anybody. Vlahovic had a nice one this weekend as well, but Zerkowski, his first goal for me is number 2. And number 1, I love team goals. Salernitana deserves some love. Martagani got that goal, but it was a beautiful team goal from the break. Simi started it off, and I think Candrevo's involved and a couple others. So really well done by Salernitana. That's my goal of the week for me.
Okay, I have 5. I'm going to go with the Foloruncio goal for the consolation for Hellas Verona, number 5. Good individual goal there.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Samardzic's goal for Udinese at number 4. Just great individual effort. Put Chiara on skates. And finished his chance there. I've got the Vlahovic volley in at number 3. Really difficult technique. You got to get that shoulder down, and you've got to get the foot on the right part of the ball, and he was able to make it work. The Zerkowski volley definitely more impressive, though, in terms of degree of difficulty and execution. So number 2 for me. And then I've got Mattias Sule's free kick as my goal of the week.
Fair enough. Good shouts for also Pellegrini's goal as well as Retegui. Both of them had nice finishes.
Retegui was on my list, and then Bremer's header was also on my list.
Yep.
For consideration. So there was enough. I mean, only 6 games. There's still enough goals to carve out a list. So we're gonna get into the transfers, but let's just a quick nod to a legend who passed away in Italian football, Gigi Riva. Most known for leading Cagliari to a Scudetto in 1970, but also is Italy's all-time leading scorer, 42 caps, 35 goals. Certainly a goal rate that is never going to be matched, in at least in our lifetime in the Italian national team. But the total number of goals themselves, 35, is that beatable? Do you think? I just think with another answer that I'm going to give in our lifetime, no. With the inconsistency of the striker position, not only that, the turnover of the strikers in the Italian national team in terms of the number of games that they can have the opportunity to play in. The one thing that I would come back and say that there is a chance for an Italian striker to break this is that Italy, as a national team, is modernizing their game more. They are attacking more. Gigi Riva did this in a lengthy era of Catenaccio, where really the striker was relied upon to bring all the goals. When you look at all of the Italy teams, to Gigi Riva from those Italy teams, Schilacci with Italy in 1990. I want to say it was Vieri in 98. And then I think again in 02. In 2006, I don't think anyone had. Totti had 2 goals, and that led the team amazingly enough in winning the World Cup. But now you're, in an era where Italy's attacking, or there's a chance. But I overall think 35 is going to be hard to top.
Yeah, it is gonna be. Well, it's not surprising that that's the number that's the all-time top scorer, because, as you mentioned, Italy has been known for playing defensive football, almost said defensive hockey, defensive football, and that's what they prided themselves on, and we've kind of lost our ways from that aspect of it, and we are modernizing ourselves, and obviously having a manager like Spalletti is going to help a striker get to that level, and just all the managers in general. Had Conte recently, and you can imagine some of the guys will come in after Spalletti once his time is done with the Azzurri. It is more modern football for Italian football, and so I think eventually will be. Like Brazil, with all the numbers that they had, their all-time leading goal scorer number was like 75 or something, and Neymar broke that fairly easily because of the way they play and all the goals that they happen. So I imagine it will eventually be broken. By whom, I don't know, and I don't know if it's anyone that's in the present team that can do it. But like you said, it's consistency. It's hard. Like, how many great Italian strikers have we had? And you rattled the names of some of them, Del Piero and Totti and Baggio, those guys, and none of them ever got it. It has to be someone who's going to have a long career, right? Had like Luca Toni started with this Azzurri from a young age and gone through. Maybe he could have it, right? Because he's that poaching ability, but. Yeah, it's going to be broken. Just don't know by who yet, and maybe one of these youngsters that we see in Italian football now will be the one to do that. But, I imagine a lot more goals coming in from the Azzurri compared to what was the past, just because we're not focused on defense anymore. It's more about playing attractive and entertaining football and trying to get better results via that avenue versus the defensive route, just because we don't have any defensive horses like we've had generations in Italy. So, yeah. It'll take time, but I don't know who will be. It'll be a mystery man. Maybe it's Camarda. Maybe he's right.
Could be. Believe he was a pretty much a bandiera for Cagliari. He played for Legnano prior to that.
Yeah.
But he spent 14 seasons with Cagliari, 315 appearances, 164 goals. That Scudetto winning team in 1970. They were a runner-up, I believe, the year before. And then he was part of the World Cup runner-up team in 1970 as well. Against that, they just ran into that buzzsaw of a Brazil team. Some guy named Pele in charge of that.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with his work.
It's funny how this came up today, and it maybe his timing is everything, because obviously. The rounds are going around about Osimhen with his interview with CBS Sports Golasso, where he's basically just saying, "This is my last season in Serie A, and I'm going to England." He did, in so many words. He didn't say it, but he said it. And these days, players do not stay with one team. There's the Tottis of the world, the De Rossis of the world. Those guys don't happen as much anymore. It's very few. Even Messi eventually left Barcelona, right? And so. Having a guy like Gigi Riva stay with one club for so long, it's just something to be applauded with, and it's going to be more rare to see than not these days when you have a talisman of him or a Totti stay with the one club for majority of their career versus these guys who just hop around looking for get their way to the top of the Mbappes, the Haalands, the Bellinghams, all those kind of guys. It's a new era of football, and you really have to have a player who not only loves the football he's playing at, but the city that he's at.
Exactly.
You know, so that's gonna be hard to, I think, achieve. Though Di Natale was also one like that, right? Berardi seems to be that one for Sassuolo. If you want to put him in that lineup, I wouldn't myself, but you know, it's gonna be a rarity these days.
Yep. We shall. Much respect to arguably, well, not arguably, but certainly one of Italy's best players of all time.
Yeah.
If you wanted a all-time Italy national team for the ages, it's very hard to leave him off of it as the starting striker, considering his record, not just for the national team, but also for his club.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Rest easy, Gigi. Certainly before our time, but, a legend nonetheless. So, moving on to transfers, our good friend Nicolo Shira. Somebody can go ahead and tell me that here at some point. Let's just go through the rundown. A lot of clubs interested in Simic from Milan, but Milan looks like they're going to be able to keep him and extend his contract until 2028. Let's see. Torino are monitoring Salernitana's center back and Italy U21 captain Lorenzo Pirola for the next season. And by monitoring, they're saying, well, we hope they go down so that we can get him for a bargain. Pirola's a good player and is going to find work at another club if Salernitana indeed does go down. So not hard to say there. Reaction to that news? Torino would be a really nice destination for him. They seem to do really well with defenders, don't they?
They do. Obviously Buongiorno's name is getting touted around here, but yeah, Torino seems to be a place where defenders can develop their skill set and then move on from there. And then, hey, the mountains there in Turin seem to be a good place, a good breeding ground for defenders apparently these days. So yeah, I like it.
Alessio Zerbini is going to go on loan to Monza from Napoli. That's noteworthy. I think wasn't it Zerbini that pretty much helped Napoli get to the Supercoppa final?
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. So then, so he makes an impression in his last game. We're gonna have to get some information on Benessa Benamar, a center back who plays for Volendam in the Eredivisie. Genoa, Udinese, and Sassuolo all interested. Looks like Empoli are now trying to convince Mbai and Yang to join them. Genoa was initially interested, but it looks like they have backed off. Bakker has not quite gone to Monza yet. It looks like Roma is interested as well for a loan, so that's interesting. And Matteo Lovato is looking to leave Salernitana for Torino. Lovato not getting any pitch time there. Giorgio Scalvini is going to extend his contract with Atalanta, which will until 2028. That's big news. Elias Tavsan from NEC Nijmegen in the Eredivisie. He is joining Hellas Verona. Yeah, neither do we. So we'll have to get to learn him. Is this the diamond in the rough that they found a year ago at this time with Ngonja? We'll see. Yeah. And then let's see. Just kind of going down a little bit further. Yerry Mina just never got any pitch time with Fiorentina. He's leaving. Yeah. Looks like he's heading to Olympiacos.
Interesting.
And Matteo Politano is going to extend his contract with Napoli. Talk that he might have been going to Al Shabaab. But it looks like he's going to extend until 2027 with the Partenopei. More news. Napoli are just grabbing randoms. Leander Den Donker, who astonishes me that he's still around, and but he's going from being buried in Aston Villa's bench to now being a Napoli player. So we'll see what that does. He'll be on a contract until 2028. And then that should be, as far as noteworthy ones, that's about the ones that'll move the needle. And then there are talks that Nehuen Perez could be going to Napoli from Udinese. So that's another one that could. Any of those catch your attention?
No, not really. I mean, it's still early days yet. We still got 10 plus days, or
Yeah.
not even, maybe 10 days left in the window. So we've always said this. There's not many huge moves go. I mean, then going one still is being the one that's leading the way. If the Samardzic one goes over the line for Napoli, that would also be a huge signing for them. But yeah, these ones are they're okay. I mean, they're all seem like depth type moves, or if you're a relegation team, it's something just trying to figure something out, to throwing shit against the wall and hoping something sticks that you can survive, right? So yeah, nothing really moved my needle so far.
Another one that's another Verona player. I mean, they're grabbing guys from lower level Eredivisie teams. Tiani Noslin. Milan fans are probably having a heart attack. Tiani Reinders really were sending. No, Tiani Noslin to Hellas Verona from Fortuna Sittard, which I believe that's Eredivisie. Yeah, that is Eredivisie. He's Dutch. And just a little interesting note here, Marco Borriello is now an agent.
Oh.
So, former striker. So we'll see if he starts gathering a roster of players to represent. So,
did you mention Daniel Maldini to Monza?
I thought we covered that last week.
Maybe we did. So, I can't remember.
Yep. So, but I do remember talking about that. So. Yeah, you guys that are making some moves. Napoli's just trying to add some pieces, probably trying to get a little bit more depth, trying to figure it out with what's left. Just from the looks of it, Verona are bringing in a couple of players that we're not terribly familiar with. We're going to have to do some homework on, but we weren't overly familiar with Ngonja, except for once we did do a little digging into what he did at Groningen before joining Hellas Verona to realize this guy might be pretty good.
Yep.
So, they're going to the Eredivisie, at least a couple more times, hoping to strike the same kind of gold here. So, so we'll see what happens. But still, I think their team is weaker with the amount of exits that they have had here over the last couple of weeks. So,
yeah,
Popovic, that's the deal with Napoli collapsed.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my take on Popovic, at least from what I've been reading.
Okay.
Why would anyone want him right now? I mean,
he's big.
He's big, yeah, fine. But it's been a 3-ring circus for anyone to try to sign him. Agent demands, player demands, all this other stuff, and he's only 18. I mean, he hasn't proven anything to anybody. I'd let him be somebody else's problem at this point. I wouldn't go after him. What do you think?
I always question when you have agents who are demanding all these outrageous fees for a youngster who's unproven. That's one thing if that player was Neymar. When Neymar was coming from Brazil, he had all this hype for a good reason. You saw how he played. He had like hair deals and all this other shit. So that it makes sense. But when you're a player that has done nothing really, like you really not demanded that attention worldwide, like why are you making all these absurd, requests and agent fees and agent demands and all that stuff and player fees? Like just get with the team, get better. Do a short-term contract if that's the case, and if you feel you're getting better, then you make the demands on the next contract, But it's just beyond me. Like, I haven't seen anything of this kid yet that warrants that kind of the hype that the agents and the team is just trying to produce, and it seems like more like a headache, like you said, than anything else. And so, like, yeah, let somebody else deal with it. And if he starts proving himself, then you can try to deal with it. But for something unproven, you want to get diamond in the rough, it's not worth the hassle,
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Someone's going to have to deal with that. So Ollie's saying Neymar actually won something. Neymar is the only player of this example that actually ever did anything of significance, in my opinion. So
yeah,
and there have been a lot of players that were like this. So so we'll see. So all right, well, we've covered it all. We just have one thing left: the world's most popular hashtag game. Who won Calcio Twitter? Take it away.
If my mouse is working, I can get this to work. It's technology. Today is technology night, right? So that's how it's going to work. But let's get on here with that. We'll start things off with the original tweet was from Antonio Rudy Gueda said, and it's Paolo Di Canio of all people being reasonable with the racism comments with stuff that was going on in Udinese, and so Uncle Sharma was like, wait. How is Di Canio the voice of reason against racism, Mr. Saluting for Lazio in the derbies and all this other stuff, infamously? So, pretty funny that about that. It's just bad when Di Canio's getting was calling you out on it. So,
Yep. All right, moving on to the next one. I think what we're trying to look for here is Pedicich is saying that a journalist is having a meltdown because he didn't get an accreditation certificate. A full
So
moon emoji from Twitter user Thomas. This
okay,
was
so
never in my 2024 bingo card.
yeah, so FCIM Thomas. Thomas is a Interista. He runs Inter Extra, and he has this thing when he puts out the the reporting of different reporters. He'll put a moon emoji, and if it's a full moon, it means 100% confident in them. And depending on how big the moon is how much confidence. So he gave only like a partially, like a 3/4 full moon, meaning he's not totally trustworthy of this reporter. Well, this reporter Pasquale Guaro is like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he always he's never giving me a full star? Why does he trust me? And he's like having this meltdown about just a kid who's running this page, and like, dude, calm the hell down. Like, what the hell? Why are you obsessed with this? Worry about your job. And it's hilarious that this reporter is going nuts over this, about this one person who is just saying, hey, I'm just reporting the news for my favorite team, and this is what I consider his credibility like, And so I was like, what the fuck?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Nerazzurri is nominated again. What else is new? The TL right now. This was after Inter won the Supercoppa.
Yeah. It's all everyone else's fans crying. Napoli, Milan, Juve crying. The videos last week were better. All right. Speaking of FCIM, Thomas, he's here. It says Inter Zelensky coming to the Inter dressing room to celebrate the Supercoppa. Roy Williams never gets old. Never gets old. And then one more from Huyan. It says new profile pic, Marotta League. Very creative. I don't know if you made it or not, but that's very creative.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I think it's between Huyan and FCIM Thomas.
Yeah.
Rough week for Who Won Calcio Twitter.
It is.
But it's hard to live.
It's Inter's week this week, right? So
after what we had a couple weeks ago, it's kind of hard to live up to that. So
no, it is. I don't know. This is a tough one. This is the tough one for me. I like the creativity by Huyan, but it's Roy Williams. That's a great video by Roy Williams.
I'm with you. That's the winner for me.
Yeah. That's good to me. Good to me.
So I will go ahead and repost this while you guys go ahead and talk to the people.
All right. Well, first of all, everyone who came in the chat tonight, thank you. Appreciate it. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you leave a like on our YouTube page. But no, thank you guys again for making this conversation lively with all the topics we've discussed today. We are all over social media. You can be obviously found on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're there. Same thing with our podcast. You can listen to it everywhere across where you stream music and stream podcasts. But it's exciting time here. Big game on the horizon here. We've been talking for a long time about possibly doing a watch along and this and that, and so we haven't discussed this yet, Frank. But we do have the Derby d'Italia February 4th coming up. Then maybe that's a good chance to do it. We'll see. We have to look at our schedules with our regular lives, with our families, see if it's possible. But that might be a good game to do it there. There's so much on the line between Inter and Juventus. So
agreed.
Keep an eye on for that. We'll let you guys know in the coming weeks if that is coming to fruition or not. But we'll aim for that.
Well, I will have to ask you to retweet that FCI Thomas. I am having a difficult time getting my Twitter to load. So
we'll do.
So if you're doing that, that'd be great. So everything Richard said, and just the chat was amazing again. Thank you guys. We will we'll consider a watch along or to try to come up with something to make that work if we can do it. But we'll I guess put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down, where we have our own channel on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there are podcasts. There is Serie A Sit Down. At Serie A Sit Down on Twitter, at Serie A Sit Down on Instagram. Check us out there. Send us some comments. Send us some questions, some ideas for future podcasts. We always appreciate that. Also, you can catch us on Facebook as well. YouTube. This is our YouTube channel. If you're watching for the first time and if you had a good time, you enjoyed it, you know you did. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like, and hit that notification bell, most importantly, so that you know when we are back on the air. And it's generally Tuesdays around 9 p.m. Eastern. Personal life conflicts had us delayed the start of this show just a few minutes. Well, it ended up being about a half an hour, but nonetheless, here we are. Now, these things happen.
That's right.
So definitely be in tune there, and then also you can check out the page. Plenty of videos, plenty of past podcasts. You can check it out. 9 away from 300 now, Richard.
Yeah, this is 291. Man, I'm losing count.
Oh,
I can't count that high. I can't count that high. It's gonna be hard.
It's getting close. It's getting frighteningly close. So we're gonna have another blockbuster edition for number 300, which I believe, if we continue on this course of Tuesday, will be March 26th.
Oh, okay. So it won't be a St. Patty's Day edition, huh? Won't be on your birthday there. We won't have a 12-hour stream session, I guess, not.
And let's see. So today's 220, 91, 92. Hang on. 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, 300 will be on March 26th. Okay. Tuesday, March 26th. So we will have that to look forward to.
I'll call out that next day. So
what's that?
I'll call out that next day just in case.
Yep. So we may even have to. Maybe we'll do that on a Sunday as a special.
Oh,
so,
there you go.
We'll so that we can have a little more time, get some more guests on, and things like that. But nonetheless, want to thank everybody. Thank the chat once again. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to us. We will be back with you guys next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. East.
Yes, sir.
Until then, enjoy the week. Enjoy the Calcio coming up this weekend. And as always, tell your paisans about us. Ciao.
Sul fondo mette in mezzo l'aggancia di Lorenzo e il Napoli è in vantaggio. Zielinski, Barateglia, Rappada Poli, tapped in by Otti.